If your man avoids you when you're having uncomfortable feelings, or you're upset, or you're angry, or you're trying to have hard conversations, or they did something to hurt you and they avoid, or they leave, or they let you cry on the edge of the bed, while they like sleep or something, that's because they are so uncomfortable by feelings in general. They can't even handle their own feelings, because when you get like that, it brings up things for them and they can't. They can't deal with that because they don't know how to. And so they avoid it. Look into attachment styles, avoidance attachment style, which then creates anxious attachment for you, likely, It's terrible. It's not fair.
All right, let me get this straight, Colleen. When a man avoids conversation with you over some hurt feelings, even if he, quote unquote, caused your feelings to hurt, it's because he can't handle his own feelings. All right, you know what? This gorilla's gonna accept that. Only if you accept the flip side of that coin. What if instead of avoiding feelings, he's just avoiding a headache? What if the fight that started was something so small and trivial that he just believes, hey, you know what? I got more important things to do. I gotta go to sleep. I gotta get ready for work tomorrow. I've gotta take care of business. I gotta pay bills. I don't have the time to hear you cry for 45 minutes straight about me buying the wrong brand of toilet paper, about me not washing a cup before I put it in the dishwasher, about me putting too much onions in the stew I was making for both of us. Simply put, Queen, not every fight is worth fighting, not every argument is worth having, and not everything that comes out of a woman's mouth is worth listening to. Move it on!
Super needy guys are always the worst. Dated a couple, and here are my thoughts, feelings, and observations. The guy that's really needy, or the guy that guilts you for not wanting to or being able to hang out with him, usually has no friends or nothing else going on. First red flag, like, what else do you got going? Second of all, it really gives codependency, emotional dependency, mommy issues, lack of boundaries. I can't fulfill your needs. I can't always be giving you attention. And it also gets concerning when it becomes like hyperfixation, or you feel like you're always on this guy's mind, or he's like obsessing about you or texting you constantly. Like, take me off of the pedestal, especially if this is new in the relationship. Like, you don't really know each other, so you know that this guy is going off of whatever story he has about you, or whatever like dream he has about you. It's like, bro, ground yourself. And also, it's just insecurity too. It's one thing to need validation or reassurance once in a while, but when you're constantly asking for it, it's like, bro, you gotta turn that inward. You gotta look in the mirror. You gotta point that finger right around at yourself. My job isn't to validate you, and if you cannot validate yourself, you shouldn't be in a relationship.
Who hurt you? All right, for context, let me read the comment she is replying to. It says, the super needy guy always is the worst one. Guy kept asking me if he was doing good on the date. Before I talk about this Colleen's reply, let me say something. Although I do agree that there are questions that men just shouldn't ask, on the flip side of that, if he asks you, hey, am I doing good on the date? How's it going for you? Maybe it's because he actually wanted a direct answer, rather than wanting to read your mind. I mean, women say that they want men to communicate more often, and when they do, they say, oh, it's the worst. Think about that, ladies. Now for my observation on this Queen's reply. Now, this Queen said that the guy that tries to guilt you for not having time to hang out with you has no friends, nothing else, and it's a red flag. Wait a second, aren't you Queens the ones that do that? Aren't you the ones that want the guy to hang out with you more often? Make up your mind there, princess. Which way are you going with this one? And also, this guy obsessing about you and texting you constantly is another red flag. It's mommy issues. Again, isn't that what women do to men? I've said it before that women want men to be their personal therapist, but they will not return the favor. If men do to women what women do to them, they're just going to label it negatively. And to my younger viewers, notice that her last bit said that a guy wanting validation, which is basically attention, from women is viewed by women as nothing more and nothing less than insecurity. She was blunt honest there. That's exactly how they see it. But they'll never see themselves in the same way. Notice, she's literally telling you guys here, don't communicate. Don't share your feelings with them. Shut down. Because trust me, the moment that you start telling them your feelings, that's just an invite for disaster. That's like telling the hamburglar where you keep all your burger patties for the next barbecue. Yeah, it ain't gonna work out that well. Moving on.
I cut off a guy that was perfect in every other way except for the fact that he had kids. I'm actually kind of sad about this one. The crazy part is we went on a date with each other probably like 3 years ago, and at that time he did not have any. I don't even remember why it didn't work out necessarily. And I was just kind of like hanging out with him again just to kind of see where it went. We went on a couple dates, but I started to feel myself really like him, and I was like, I know this isn't gonna work. So I like didn't want to waste his time or my time, because it's like I simply cannot get over certain things that come with dating people with kids. I don't have any kids. I could go and move anywhere at any time. I can be spontaneous and take a trip. I can be spontaneous with my money and not have to worry as much because I'm not a parent. Being serious with somebody or committing to somebody with children, you take on certain sacrifices that they take on. And I'm just not prepared to do that at all. I don't want to be reminded of somebody's ex all the time because they're always going to be in the picture. I don't want to be with somebody that already shared certain experiences with somebody else that I wanted to experience for the first time with them. That's just how I feel.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Oh, my young Colleen, this gorilla thanks you deeply for you sharing with my audience the feelings and the double standards that many women share. Now, I guess this is going to apply more to my younger viewers than my older viewers because most of my older male viewers probably already know this, but let me just state the obvious here. Double standards. Women overwhelmingly do not want to date men who already have children with other women. And let me quote her. Don't want to be reminded of someone's ex. Exactly. But at the same time, many women who have children will say, oh, this is the package deal. If you're going to be with me, you're going to have to be with my kids. Women don't want to be stepmothers, but they sure as hell require men to be stepdads, to accept everything, to go in there and pay for everything. Because somehow, some way, her crack taco and everything else about her physically was worth it all. Now, the argument can be said that no, not all women like this, and other women will date men who have children from previous marriages. But the reality is that almost always applies exclusively to single mothers who are willing to take on the role of stepmom to get help with her kids because she can't handle the whole thing. Now, this isn't me saying rude things to make you single moms out there seem bad. This is me just pointing out exactly the double standards that this young Colleen said in this video, but many women think the same way. Unless you're a cat mom. In that case, as long as you buy the kitty litter and the tuna fish, everything's all right. Moving on.
So I've recently figured out why I like dating a lot of losers. And it's because I want to be a loser. Like, I am aspirationally dating. Because when you think about it, there's such a freeness to being a loser. Just like absolutely taking yourself out of the equation of life and just being like a non-playable character. And whenever I've dated them, I've always thought like, oh, this is what I would be if I succumbed to every horrible thought I have in my brain. And I'm jealous. My ideal day, if I could make it up, would be to wake up whenever, go to Dunkin', get like a large iced coffee with all the milk, sugar, everything, smoke half a pack of cigarettes, come home, have time with myself, take a nap, wake up, eat McDonald's for dinner, drink half a pack of beer, and go to bed. Maybe have time with myself again. I don't know. Like that sounds perfect. But unfortunately, I was just blessed with too big a brain.
Hold up there, Queen. For a moment there, I actually thought that you were complaining about you were dating other women. It was only halfway through your explanation that I figured out that you were talking about men. Because, I mean, sorry, sweetheart. I just gotta say, you seen the meme about the guy who's about to get hanged and looks at the other guy and says, first time? Yeah, that's about my entire male viewers looking at you saying, first time? You basically described how women can live today. I mean, let me see. Being a non-playable character. Check. Succumbing to every messed up thought in your brain. Check. Wake up whenever. Check. Get a large iced coffee with all the extras. Check. Smoke a half a pack of cigs if you feel like it. Check. Go home and have alone time. Check. Take a nap. Check. Eat Mickey D's for dinner. Check. Drink alcohol and go to bed. Check, check. You just described the modern Western woman, or at least the ones in the US. I'm pretty sure that my viewers from the UK, Germany, Australia, and every other Western country can agree to a certain point. But look at the bright side there, Crane. If you marry such a person and you divorce him, family court won't treat you as harshly as they treat men nowadays. I mean, you still have XX chromosome privilege. Moving on.
One day he's all over you, and the next thing you know, he disappears for days or weeks at a time. When you're together, it feels amazing and like this could really turn into something. But when you're apart, it feels like you're just not a priority. Ladies, when a man is giving you hot and cold and inconsistent energy, what it usually means is that you're on his roster. He's talking to and probably sleeping with multiple people, and chances are you're not even the #1 spot on that roster. So why is he even doing this? What's the point? Having a situationship, especially with an amazing, loyal, loving woman like you, is literally the ideal setup for a man. You're giving him physical and emotional intimacy, probably even loyalty, aka all of the benefits of a relationship without him having to put in any of the work. On top of this, you're also giving him the freedom to go out and do whatever the heck else he wants to do, and all he has to do to keep this access to you is throw you some breadcrumbs now and then, aka just enough attention to keep you on the hook, which, let's be honest, isn't even much. And I hate to say this, but there are some men men who are actually intentionally using this hot and cold behavior as a manipulation tactic just because they enjoy the feeling of having power over you. It's an ego boost and it makes them feel special knowing that you're always waiting for their attention whenever they want to give it to you and you're hoping for their commitment. If you're in a situation like this, I highly recommend emotionally detaching from this man, moving on and pouring all of this time and energy you've been putting into him back into yourself. And remember, this has nothing to do with you or your worth and everything to do with him and his current priorities and capacity to form relationships. You are nobody's second option and you deserve so much better. I love you and follow for more tips.
Are we done here?
All right, to my female viewers, let this gorilla just say this. When this Queen said that when he's hot and cold with you, sometimes he's good and other times he's distant with you, it's because you're part of a roster. Yeah, I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, she's absolutely right there. You're part of a roster. Now, when she says, why does he do this with you? I will give you the simple answer. Because he can. Because he is the Chad Tyrone who all of you women are yourselves over. I've said this too many times throughout the years on my channel. 80% of the women go for the top 20% of men. And then you ask yourselves, why am I in a roster? Because that's exactly what you allowed. You're fighting other women for the same sausage, for the same ride on the carousel. And then you're all shocked and shaken. OMG, I'm sharing all this beef with other women. But where this Queen and this gorilla diverge at is when she says, a loyal, loving woman like you. No, I'm sorry. Let me put this another way. The multitude of women who go for the top 20% of guys are fooling themselves to believe that these guys are going to be faithful just to you. Why is he going to dedicate himself to you when there are 10 other girls that are after the same guy? Oh, I forgot, you're special because you're loyal and you're loving. That's the exact same thing that the other women say. Oh, because you're you. Again, same thing the other women say. Oh, that's right, you give him physical and mental intimacy and probably even loyalty. Again, that's what the other 9 women do. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. Well, not really. But you're not special. You're not different. You're just one of the 80% who want the same guy. While ignoring the other 80% of men out there who would be loyal to you, but they're boring. You're not going to settle because you're a Queen and you deserve more. Now, as you take out your handkerchiefs and you pull up those tears and you ask yourself, why does Chad and Tyrone treat me this way? Why does he just give me just the minimum to keep me interested? Because it works. Now, when this Queen argues that this is a power boost and it's an ego boost to keep them in check, this is where I say, sorry there, sister, but that's exactly what women do to men. You just met the guy who's valuable enough and smart enough to use your own tactics against you. Boo-hoo, cry me a river. But this gorilla finds it hilarious when this dating coach Queen from New York tells all of you, oh, detach yourself from this man. Take all that energy and dedicate it back to yourselves. Here's the kicker about that. That's not what you're going to do because most of you queens, what you do is you dedicate that attention and that energy to the next Chad/Tyrone because they're fun, they're addictive, they're not boring average Joes, they're Chad-rones, and they make those super important feelings that all you women have tingle, and that makes it worth it, right? But her worst advice has to be when she says that, remember, this has nothing to do with you or your worth, and it has everything to do with him and his priorities. Wrong. It has everything to do with you and your worth. Why? Because you and your worth are the ones who keep pointing to these guys. You and your worth are the ones that say, I'm not going to settle for Mr. Average. I deserve more. I deserve better. When you really don't. It's like a 5 looking at another 5 and saying, I deserve a 9, not another 5. Why? Because you were born with XX chromosomes? But don't worry, Queen. When it's all said and done, this gorilla can have a smile on his face knowing that, number 1, my stock in pet stores has gone up and made me money. And number 2, there are many cats out there that will not be homeless. Moving on.
3 signs you're dating a loser, part 8. Sign number 1, he doesn't own a car and he uses you to pick him up. If he is riding on your passenger seat more often than usual, then you really need to think about this. And hear me out. I know that some women or men don't have cars. Maybe they live in New York, maybe they live in London, where the metro is super accessible, so there is no need to have a car there. But if the man is not at least making an effort to go see you and maybe Ubering there or going in the metro to see you, then there's a big problem. If you're always picking him up and he's asking you for favors to take him everywhere in your car, then he's just interested in your car and not you. Sign number 2, he doesn't support your hobbies. Let's say you are a good painter or like you love to draw, whatever the case is, and he all the time tells you like it's not good enough, and you little by little leave your hobby just to be with him, then there's a big problem. He's a jealous little bitch. He just wants to take control of everything, and he's a loser. Leave him. And sign number 3, he's rude. He's rude to his family, he's rude to your family, to your friends, and even to you. So it makes you a loser too for staying with him. So yeah, don't be with a loser like that. And the truth hurts. And follow me for part 9.
All right there, Colleen. Sign number 1 that the guy's a loser is he doesn't have a car. So why is it that when a man doesn't have a car, he's a loser, but if a woman doesn't have a car, that's not important. That's not necessary. I'll tell you why, because it's double standards. Because somehow, some way, being born with a taco excludes you from not having to buy a couple things. If you're broke, say you're broke. If you are a dusty, say you're a dusty. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that women should be held to men's standards. That's not the point. But I will say that if you're going to fight for equality and you're going to say, oh, men and women are the same, well, then you are the ones holding men and women to the same standards. Not men. Double standards don't fly with this gorilla. I mean, using your own womanist logic against you, we could just say, hey, his time is valuable, you know. So you have to put in the time and the ride to go see him because that D is a golden D. And you have to pay the high price of that ride on the carousel. Now, your second example of saying, hey, let's say you're a good painter and this and that, and you leave it because he tells you you're not that good. I'm sorry, sister. I'm going to have to push back heavy on that one. You see, if you are a good painter or whatever hobby you have, you're good at it. And more importantly, you're making money off of it. If you're paintings, you're selling them, and you're making a lot of money and this and that, I doubt very much he's going to say anything negative about it. It's probably that you're in a hobby and you think you're better than what you really are. I'm not saying he's an expert. I'm saying that it is possible. Let's say you've done 20 portraits so far and you've sold 0 of it. Nobody wants to buy it. But you believe that you're awesome number 1. And he's telling you, hey, you know what? Maybe we should concentrate on paying the bills. Hobbies is one thing, but if your hobby is detrimental to your relationship, I'm not going to say he's 100% wrong. He may have some justification of the things he's saying. But then again, your fee-fees are more important than the reality of paying bills, right? And your last part is that he's rude. Okay, how many of your friends really don't like the guy? I'm sorry, but I'm not justifying rudeness because I don't believe in rudeness. This gorilla definitely doesn't believe that you should be rude, but women tend to date rude guys. I mean, plenty of men will tell you that women like to date a-holes. Why? Because there's something about them that you like. Well, this girl actually knows what the reason is, but that's for a different video. The point is, it sounds like you dated an a-hole, and then after X amount of time of being with him, you realize, oh, MG, I dated an a-hole instead of a nice guy. That was a mistake. Well, that's on you, Cohen, not on him. He was being the guy that attracted you in the first place, and you kept going back to it. It's just that you lost attraction for it for XY reason. I'm not going to say he's wrong for that. I'm going to say take accountability for your own actions. But then again, that is like asking Superman to embrace kryptonite. Chances of that happening are very low.
Damn, skip me.
I'm just saying, if you enjoy this audit, click on the video in the end screen for more content. If you would like to support the channel, please follow the link in the description to donate to our beer fund, or like, subscribe, and share this video on other social media platforms. If you agree or disagree with anything about this audit, please let us know in the comments. I'm going to leave this audit right here. I'll see all of you in the next episode.